The image of 41 coffins draped in the national flag is more than a moment of mourning. It is the living portrait of a nation carrying both grief and pride upon its shoulders. Each coffin, covered with the colors of our land, tells the story of a son who gave his life so that Burkina Faso and Africa could stand unbowed. As the people watch the solemn march of soldiers lifting those coffins high, there is a silence that speaks louder than thunder. Mothers hold their tears like rivers behind their eyes. Children stare in confusion and pain, and yet in the midst of sorrow, the flag waves above each coffin as if to declare, these lives were not lost in vain. The flag is no longer just a cloth, it becomes the shield of honor for our martyrs, transforming their final journey into a march of immortality. Every step taken by the soldiers who carry those coffins echoes across the red earth like a drumbeat of memory. The people do not see only wood and fabric, they see bravery, they see loyalty, they see men who stood in the path of imperial drones and paid the ultimate price. The sight is unbearable for many, but at the same time it is unshakably beautiful. It tells us that even in death, these heroes continue to serve because their sacrifice becomes a banner that inspires millions. The flag covering their bodies whispers to the world, here lies the blood of patriots, and this blood will water the soil of freedom. The coffins move forward like silent warriors, still marching with their comrades, still leading their people, still carrying the fire of resistance. For the families, the pain cuts deepest. Mothers look at the flag and remember the small boys they once held in their arms. Wives remember the voices that once promised to return home safely. Children reach out as if they could touch their fathers again through the colors of the flag. The air is filled with sobs, but also with a strange strength that rises out of grief. The people realize that these coffins are not symbols of weakness, they are symbols of a fight that is bigger than life itself. Every coffin demands justice, every coffin demands unity, every coffin demands that Burkina Faso will never kneel before foreign masters again. And so as the march continues, the 41 coffins draped in the flag become more than the end of life, they become the beginning of a vow carried by the people walking behind them, by the president leading in front, and by the continent watching from afar. The vow is that their blood will not be forgotten, their sacrifice will not be buried, and their story will not fade. They have become eternal guardians of the nation, wrapped in the flag they served, carried by the hands of brothers in arms, and honored by the tears of an entire people. In that image, sorrow and strength embrace each other, and the nation rises, even in mourning, to proclaim, Burkina Faso lives because her sons gave everything. The grieving families stand at the heart of the nation's sorrow, embodying both unbearable pain and unshakable dignity. As the procession of coffins passes, their cries pierce the air, heavier than the silence of death itself. Mothers cling to the flag-covered caskets, as though by touching the fabric, they can still feel the warmth of their sons. Their tears flow freely, not only for the lives stolen, but for the dreams that will never be lived. They remember their boys as children running through the fields, as young men taking up the duty of service, and as soldiers who believed their blood could protect the soil of their homeland. Each tear is a story, each cry a testimony, each trembling hand on the coffin a reminder that the cost of freedom is measured not in speeches but in human lives. Wives, draped in black and trembling with grief, walk beside the coffins with portraits pressed to their chests. They whisper words to men who can no longer hear them, prayers that rise into the sky like smoke, pleas that their sacrifice will not be in vain. Their pain is not private, it belongs to the entire people who see in their faces the suffering that could come to any family when a nation is attacked. Their broken voices seem to say, our husbands are gone, but their honor lives. And though sorrow has crushed their hearts, they march with dignity, refusing to let the enemy see defeat in their eyes. Their mourning is an act of resistance, their tears a river that nourishes the roots of national pride. Children too young to understand but old enough to feel the emptiness stumble along with portraits of fathers they will never embrace again. Some cling to their mothers, others reach out toward the coffins as if hoping for one last touch. Their small voices ask questions that no one can answer. Why did this happen? Who will protect us now? When will Father return? The sight of these children shatters even the hardest of hearts, for they are both the deepest victims of war and the greatest reason for resistance. Their innocence stands in contrast to the cruelty of the foreign powers that unleashed this tragedy. In their eyes glimmers both the wound of loss and the flame of a future that must be protected at all costs. The family's grief is unbearable, yet it is also sacred. Their cries are not just cries of loss, they are cries that demand justice, cries that declare loyalty, cries that transform pain into resolve. They are the living reminder that behind every fallen soldier stands a household that now carries the weight of sacrifice. As the nation weeps with them, the grieving families become the strongest symbol of resilience. They prove that even in the darkest hour, love for the land, for freedom, for Africa itself, burns brighter than despair. Their tears water the soil, their mourning strengthens the people, and their dignity in grief becomes the most powerful answer to the enemies who believed that death could break the spirit of Burkina Faso. The symbolism of the martyrs as seeds is a truth that transcends the grief of the moment and transforms tragedy into hope. When the bodies of the 41 officers are lowered into the ground, it is not the end of their journey, it is the beginning of something greater. Just as seeds are buried in darkness before they sprout into life, so too are these martyrs placed into the earth, not to vanish, but to rise again in the spirit of their people. Their sacrifice becomes a seed planted in the soil of Burkina Faso, watered by the tears of families, nurtured by the prayers of the people, and guarded by the determination of a nation that refuses to be broken. They are not gone, they are growing. They will emerge not as individuals, but as forests of courage, as fields of unity, as generations of men and women inspired by their blood. Every coffin lowered into the red earth is a seed of resistance. The enemy may believe they have destroyed lives, but in truth they have sown 1,000 new warriors, 1,000 new dreams of freedom. For every officer taken by the drone strike, a new child will rise with a stronger will to defend the homeland. For every family that mourns, an entire community will unite with unbreakable bonds. These martyrs are no longer confined to their bodies, they are reborn in the determination of the people. They become the silent teachers of a nation, whispering from the earth, never surrender, never bow, never forget. The metaphor of seeds teaches us patience and faith. A seed disappears beneath the soil, hidden from sight, and for a moment, it feels like loss. Yet in time, that seed bursts with life, growing stronger than before. So it is with our martyrs. Though we bury them, though we cannot see them with our eyes, their presence will burst forth in the strength of our nation. The forests that grow from their sacrifice will shade the future of our children, giving them freedom, giving them dignity, giving them a home untouched by foreign masters. The martyrs become roots that anchor us to our identity, branches that reach toward the sky of sovereignty, and leaves that spread across the land to shield us from oppression. This is why we must not see death as defeat. The enemy intended to silence us by killing 41 of our sons, but what they have truly done is scatter seeds across the entire land. These seeds will grow in every village, in every heart, in every march for freedom. They will grow into songs sung by children, into lessons taught in schools, into courage carried by soldiers, into pride carried by farmers. The martyrs will multiply far beyond the imagination of those who tried to destroy them. And so, when we look at the coffins, we must not only see the end, we must see the beginning. These seeds are buried in honor, wrapped in the flag entrusted to the soil of their ancestors. They will grow, they will flourish, they will ensure that Burkina Faso and Africa will never be conquered again. Our martyrs have not left us, they have been planted into the heart of our nation, and from them freedom will blossom for generations to come. The vow to the fallen is a sacred promise that binds the living to the dead, a covenant between those who still breathe and those whose lives were taken in sacrifice. As the 41 coffins rest beneath the flags of the nation, their silent presence demands not pity, but loyalty. They gave everything, their strength, their courage, their youth, their future, and in return, the people who remain must give them something greater than tears. We must give them a vow that their deaths will not be forgotten, a vow that their blood will not be spilled in vain, a vow that the cause for which they died will be carried forward until victory is achieved. This vow becomes a living flame, burning in every heart, reminding the people that grief must become resolve, that sorrow must become action, and that despair must become strength. The vow begins with remembrance. Each name, each face, each story of the 41 officers must be preserved in the memory of the nation. We must vow that the children of tomorrow will know their heroes, not as distant figures, but as brothers, fathers, sons, and guardians, who gave their lives so the soil of Africa would remain free. Their memory must live in classrooms, in songs, in monuments, and in the whispers of prayers at dawn. We must vow that when we speak of freedom, we speak with their voices. When we march with their steps. When we defend the homeland, we defend it with their courage. Forgetting them would be betrayal. Remembering them is loyalty. The vow extends to justice, the enemy who sent the drones, the foreign hands that plotted in darkness, the powers that believe they can break Africa with bombs and fear. These forces must be named, exposed, and resisted. We vow to the fallen that their killers will not hide behind treaties or foreign embassies, that the truth of this crime will echo across the world, and that Burkina Faso will not kneel to those who think their wealth and weapons can dictate the fate of a proud people. To honor the fallen means to stand unshaken before the same enemies who sought to destroy them. Their sacrifice is a command, never surrender. The vow also demands unity. The soldiers who died did not fall for one tribe, one village, or one family. They died for the entire nation, for all of Africa. Their blood flows into the soil of unity, washing away divisions and binding the people into one unbreakable body. We must vow to set aside differences, to reject the seeds of division sown by outsiders, and to move forward together as brothers and sisters. Only unity can give meaning to their deaths. Only unity can transform their sacrifice into victory. Above all, the vow to the fallen is a promise to continue their struggle. We must live as they lived, with courage, with dignity, with devotion to the homeland. Every farmer who tills the soil must vow to protect it. Every student who opens a book must vow to fight ignorance. Every soldier who carries a rifle must vow to defend the borders. Every leader who holds power must vow to serve the people with honor. This is how we fulfill our promise. This is how we answer their sacrifice. The vow to the fallen is not spoken only in words, it is written in action. It is carried in marches, in resistance, in rebuilding, in refusing to bow before the powerful. It is the voice of the people rising in unison. You did not die in vain. Your struggle lives in us. Your spirit walks beside us, and we will carry your mission until the dawn of true freedom rises over Africa. This vow, stronger than death itself, ensures that though their bodies lie in the earth, their souls will march forever at the head of the people. The defiance in mourning is the spirit that transforms grief into strength, tears into fire, and sorrow into unyielding resistance. As the people of Burkina Faso gather around the 41 coffins draped in the national flag, their cries do not echo weakness, they echo a refusal to be broken. The enemies who sent the drones believed that death would silence us, that grief would bend us to submission. Yet in the very moment of mourning, a new voice rises from the hearts of the people. We will not bow, we will not surrender, we will not forget. True mourning in a land of struggle is never passive. It is not the quiet acceptance of loss, but the loud declaration that the lives taken will live again in defiance. When mothers wail at the sight of their sons' coffins, their tears are not signs of helplessness, but calls to the living to rise. When fathers stand in silence with clenched fists, they are not paralyzed by pain, but resolved to carry forward the duty of the fallen. The very act of grieving becomes an act of rebellion, because it rejects the narrative of defeat that the enemy seeks to impose. The people say with one voice, "You may take their lives, but you will never take our freedom." Defiance and mourning means that the funerals are not merely endings, they are beginnings. The coffins become banners of resistance, the funeral march becomes a march of defiance, and the silence of the dead becomes a thunderous cry for justice. Each coffin is a testimony that violence cannot erase dignity, that death cannot erase struggle, and that suffering cannot erase hope. As the people mourn, they send a message to the world. Burkina Faso does not bury its heroes in silence, it raises them into immortality with defiance. This defiance also lies in the refusal to allow the enemy to define the meaning of our grief. They want us to believe these martyrs died in vain, but the people answer, no. Every drop of their blood waters the tree of freedom. They want us to believe that fear will silence us, but the people answer, no. Our mourning speaks louder than your weapons. They want us to believe that sorrow will weaken us, but the people answer, no. Our sorrow is a forge that creates steel in our souls. In mourning we find our deepest defiance, because even in pain, we declare that the dream of liberation will never die. Defiance in mourning also means lifting the flag higher, not lowering it in despair. It means singing the songs of resistance louder, even as voices crack with grief. It means looking into the faces of the widows and orphans and vowing before them that this pain will not be meaningless. It means marching through the streets, not with heads bowed in defeat, but with heads lifted in unshakable pride. The enemy sees tears, but behind those tears burns a fire that cannot be extinguished. Thus, mourning becomes a weapon. It binds the people together in shared suffering and shared strength. It tells the enemy, you may strike us with drones, but you cannot control what grows from our grief. For every soldier buried, 100 will rise. For every family shattered, a nation will unite. For every tear shed, a new resolve is born. This is the defiance of a people who do not mourn as victims, but as warriors, carrying the dead on their shoulders, not to the grave, but into the eternal struggle for freedom. My brothers, my sisters, my comrades in struggle, today we gather with heavy hearts and unshakable determination. We stand not only as mourners of our 41 heroic officers, but as the living guardians of their legacy, their sacrifice, and their courage. On this soil, our beloved land of Burkina Faso, blood has been spilled not by chance, not by fate, but by deliberate aggression, by foreign powers who seek to silence our march towards sovereignty. The drone strike that tore through our ranks, that stole away the lives of 41 of our most loyal sons, was not an accident of war, it was an act of calculated terror, orchestrated by those who cannot bear to see Africa rise in dignity. They tried to wound me, they tried to wound the soul of our nation, but here I stand breathing, walking, marching at the head of our martyrs' coffins, with our flags raised high, because no bullet, no bomb, no drone can kill the spirit of resistance that lives in our people. Today, as I lead this flag march beside the bodies of our brave officers, I see not only coffins draped in our national colors, I see shields of honor, symbols of defiance, banners of freedom. Their bodies may lie silent, but their sacrifice shouts louder than any speech, louder than any propaganda, louder than the lies spread by America and Europe to justify their meddling. They claim democracy, yet they kill in the shadows. They claim freedom, yet they unleash drones upon a sovereign nation. They claim partnership, yet they spread chaos and despair. What they did was not just an attack on soldiers, it was an attack on Africa, on every village and every child that dreams of a continent free from foreign chains. Let us be clear, the fingerprints of America and Europe are all over this cowardly strike. They arm mercenaries, they fund traitors, they hide behind drones because they do not have the courage to face African men and women on the battlefield of ideas, on the battlefield of sovereignty. They cloak their crimes in the language of security, but we know the truth. This is neo-colonialism in its ugliest form. They could not defeat our will with sanctions, they could not bend our spine with lies, and now they try with drones. But listen well, my people, if they think Burkina Faso will kneel, then they do not know us. If they think Africa will crumble, then they have miscalculated. For every officer they kill, 1,000 rise in his place. For every coffin we carry, we march with a louder voice, a stronger resolve, and a fire that cannot be extinguished. I stand before you not only as a president who survived an assassination attempt, not only as a soldier who carries scars, but as a son of Africa who refuses to betray the blood of his ancestors. When I see the families of the fallen, mothers who lost their sons, children who lost their fathers, wives who lost their partners, I know that my duty is greater than life itself. These coffins are not symbols of defeat, they are the foundation stones of a new Burkina Faso, a new Africa, where no foreign empire dictates our destiny. Our grief is deep, but our resistance is deeper. Our sorrow is heavy, but our spirit is heavier. I speak today to America and Europe. You think your drones make you powerful? You think your bases make you invincible? You think your lies about democracy make you righteous? No, they only make you desperate. For centuries you enslaved Africa. For decades you exploited Africa. And now you tremble because Africa is awakening. You tremble because Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and others are choosing dignity over dependency. You tremble because your centuries of theft are nearing an end. This drone strike was not strength, it was weakness. It was fear dressed in steel, and fear will never defeat a people who have chosen to be free or die standing. My people, look at these coffins draped in our flag. Each flag is a flame, each coffin is a drumbeat, each martyr is a voice whispering, "Do not surrender." They walk with us in this march. They raise our banners in the wind. They remind us that freedom is not given, it is seized, it is defended, it is lived with every breath. Let their sacrifice ignite in us the certainty that Burkina Faso will never be recolonized, never be ruled by foreign dictates, never bow to the empire of hypocrisy. To our brothers and sisters across Africa, hear me. This attack was not only against Burkina Faso, it was against Africa's future. They struck here because they fear what we represent, a people breaking free from the leash of exploitation. But if they think that killing 41 officers will silence us, they are mistaken. Instead, they have awakened millions. Across this continent, mothers and fathers, farmers and workers, soldiers and students are watching. They see what America and Europe are doing. They see the blood spill. They see the arrogance of power. And they are saying, enough. Africa must unite in grief and in struggle. This march, though it begins in Burkina Faso, must echo in Bamako, in Niamey, in Conakry, in Accra, in Addis Ababa. The era of silence is over. The era of compromise is over. The era of submission is over. Our martyrs command us to build a new era, the era of African sovereignty. And so I call upon every African nation, every African leader who still has dignity left in his veins, every African youth who dreams of freedom, join us. Let us form a shield against imperialism, a wall against recolonization, a fire that burns away the chains of dependency. Let the world see an Africa that will not apologize for its strength, will not hesitate to defend its soil, will not compromise its dignity. My people, I will not lie to you. The road ahead is hard. They will send more drones, more lies, more traitors. They will try to divide us, to bribe us, to scare us. But remember this moment. Remember this march. Remember these coffins. They killed 41 officers, but in doing so, they revealed their desperation. They showed the world that they cannot defeat us in open daylight, so they hide behind machines. But we walk with our heads high, with our flags high, with our people united. Do not cry for our martyrs as if they are lost. No, they are not lost. They are seeds. And seeds, when buried, do not disappear. They grow. These 41 seeds will grow into forests of resistance, forests that no drone can burn, forests that no empire can cut down. We are not weaker because of their deaths. We are stronger because their sacrifice gives us a reason to fight harder, to live bolder, to demand justice louder. I march today not only as your leader, but as your brother. I march with the mothers who wipe tears with the flag of our nation. I march with the children who hold portraits of fathers they will never see again. I march with the soldiers whose boots carry both grief and rage. Together we march, not toward despair, but toward victory. Let America and Europe watch this march. Let them see that even in mourning, Africa stands tall. Let them see that even with coffins, our hands are not trembling, but clenched into fists of determination. Let them see that for every drone, we have a million voices. For every bullet, we have a million hearts. For every death, we have a million dreams. I say to the families of our fallen, your sons are heroes, not just of Burkina Faso, but of Africa. Their blood has written history. Their names will echo in our schools, in our streets, in our hearts. We will honor them not only with words, but with deeds, with a Burkina Faso that is strong, free, and unbreakable. And I promise you this, we will not let their sacrifice be in vain. We will not stop until every foreign base is gone, until every drone is silenced, until every African child can grow without the shadow of imperialism. Their coffins are not the end of their journey, they are the beginning of a revolution. Brothers and sisters, raise your flags high, walk with me, walk with the 41 martyrs, walk with Africa. Today we mourn, but tomorrow we conquer. Today we bury bodies, but tomorrow we resurrect freedom. Today they tried to break us, but tomorrow the world will see that Burkina Faso cannot be broken. May our martyrs rest in peace, and may their sacrifice light the fire of resistance in every African heart. The struggle continues, and victory is certain.